Hello world. This video is going to simply be a overview of the impacts of Hurricane Ian, both on myself personally and the city of Cape Coral, Fort Myers as a whole. So let's get right into it. My life was going incredibly well. I recently got to marry the love of my life. No, not this guy, but this lovely angel. I had just welcomed my first nephew into the world, and I was on the biggest upswing of my entire life. But the good things were about to come to an end when...
Top winds 120. We'll put this into motion. Category 3, 4 making landfall somewhere down by Cape Coral, maybe Fort Myers, maybe as far north as southern Sarasota County. There's going to be a lot of damage in that area, and to the right of that landfall point, there's going to be significant storm surge, and those strong winds will continue inland.
Luckily, my family was well prepared. We were well stocked. More supplies. We even had an emergency bunker just in case, so we were prepared for the hurricane to hit. The early impacts were relatively mild, but they were definitely about to pick up.
What? Huh?
No.
You want to go look at the back?
No, I don't. Everybody needs to stay in the fucking house.
Go.
At least your part. Where are you gonna take it to?
What if
That
it's all
car
in the
is.
fucking house
That's
when
what
we
you
walk?
have insurance for.
I've lived in Florida for over 20 years, and this was the only time across many hurricanes where I actually feared for my own safety as well as my family's. As the hours wore on, residents panically witnessed the water levels rising, praying they would stop before their homes would get completely flooded. Unfortunately, things looked quite a bit grimmer as high tide was 2 hours away, only bringing in more water. Roads were gone. Some houses were completely overtaken by the storm. Dangers of these water levels include harmful bacteria, as well as gasoline and other engine fluids from flooded cars. Nearly all household objects touched by these waters are completely unusable. Other dangers exist, such as alligators and sometimes even sharks that can be lurking in these murky waters. Nighttime brought its own challenges, as with no electricity or signal to get any weather updates, we're relegated to manually check the water levels and hope for signs of it subsiding, as the only texts coming through are warnings increasing in severity and no ability to contact local loved ones to check how they're doing. Tensions run continually higher and higher. Unfortunately, for the entire duration of the storm, Cape Coral sat in the most dangerous part, which is the eye wall, never getting a brief relief from the relatively mild eye of the storm or the outer bands. For nearly 12 hours, Cape Coral and Fort Myers was pummeled. No one anticipated the severity of the aftermath. Entire hotels and restaurants were completely leveled to the ground. Bridges that connected mainland to islands were utterly eviscerated, and nostalgic tourist attractions were completely destroyed. But now it was time to check my own personal damage. At the in-laws' house, many trees were taken out, but luckily no one was hurt. A burrowing owl decided to travel inside my dad's house, I assume because his hole is flooded and he's looking for somewhere else to live now. Don't tell EPA, I'm sure this is a violation of something. We found a baby possum completely abandoned and decided to try to give it a home. I wonder how 41 looks. You know that like crap street we drive down when we take you to work from the other house? He's definitely still scared from the hurricane. An entire car gazebo completely collapsed at my mother's residence, leaving several vehicles totaled and others with severe roof damage. Now I had a new task, which was traveling to my own residence to inspect the damage of my house. The journey would be difficult. There is absolutely no street lights, power lights down, roads that are completely flooded and undrivable without lifted trucks. And if you were lucky enough to find a road that wasn't flooded already, there might just be a down power line or full-on tree that blocks your path completely. But when we arrived there, somehow this kayak, which is super well secured, is still there. Very shocked to see that. And apart from various damage to the screen porch, my house held up very well. However, the city was still in shambles. Driving down the roads, the streets are flooded. Trees are down everywhere. Seems as though every 7-Eleven roof was damaged severely by the storm. Mountains of debris and scrap metal piled the sides of every street. Most commercial business signs were left in pieces, and billboards were left twisted like pretzels. But now we had to worry about getting power back to an entire city. Plenty of power lines were snapped like toothpicks, this on my actual street. Others lay completely down in streets. When driving down the road, it's possible to see a boat just halfway in someone's house at different points. And without power, houses that are on a well system also don't have any water, which would relegate you to showering with gallons of water, as conservatively as possible. Alright, so we're on day 4 without power. This is my mother.
Yo.
She's making us some rice, some potatoes, some noodles.
Oh, well, wait. It's going to be Alfredo noodles.
Oh shit, Alfredo noodles. My family was lucky. We had propane tanks, and only having one hot meal a day honestly felt like a luxury. 6 days after the hurricane, helicopters continued to fly overhead constantly, delivering supplies and still conducting rescue missions. Looting ended up being a problem that I didn't expect post-hurricane.
The other thing that we're concerned about, particularly in those areas that were really hard hit, is we want to make sure we're maintaining law and order. Don't even think about looting. Don't even think about taking advantage of people in this vulnerable situation. And so local law enforcement is involved in monitoring that. I told Kevin if the state needs to help as well, because you can have people bringing boats into some of these islands and trying to ransack people's homes. I can tell you, in the state of Florida, you never know what may be lurking behind somebody's home. And I would not want to chance that if I were you, given that we're a Second Amendment state.
But eventually, most of the debris got cleaned up, and the power companies went to work trying to restore everything in Cape Coral. If you've watched all the way to this point, I hope you and your family have all come out of this tragedy safe. In the description below, I will leave a link for FEMA to apply for disaster relief, Anyone experiencing loss of power or loss of income due to the storm definitely should apply, and I hope we never have to go through that again.